Heck peeps, welcome back to Rebellion Reborn, which is a segment of Tech Files, the part of the Southgate Media Group Podcast Network, dedicated to all things related to the Heroes universe, so Heroes Prime and Heroes Reborn. I am Lilith, and trying to keep track of what the heck Farah is doing in her love life with me is...
me, Ricky.
Up for discussion today is episode 4 of 5 of the Heroes Godsend comic book, starring Farah. So basically, the blurb for it is, Farah's life becomes more complicated thanks to a huge hulk of an Evo named Mr. Vance, a gnat, and a nasty young businesswoman called Wilhelmina, and a bomb. Plus, the more important question, could romance be in the air for Farah?
Thinking about like what Joey Falco said to us about how Peter was going to be in this, I'm just wondering how much of the story changed.
Farah and Peter?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Which cover did you get? Because was there an alt cover for this?
There's always an alt cover, but I can never find the variant. Yeah. So I got the one of her standing in an alley with torn jeans, looking like she just kind of had a bad day.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a bunch of douchebags.
Yeah, with some... I'm just looking at it in the background, and there's like a missing poster, and I'm like, is that... No, it's not anyone. Oh, well.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get on to this episode. And by episode, I mean issue.
What a noob! So basically, this issue is like about Farah investigating why so many buildings on her streets in Queens are getting bought up, especially because none of the families were really willing to sell.
Yeah.
And then there's also this increased like violence and hate crimes, and she thinks it has to be part of it, and so now she's trying to figure out why.
Yeah, and it's like this is set around the time of like 9/11, so you know everyone's kind of on their heels. I don't know what it was really like in the New York and surrounding areas after, you know, if like people were just moving out or whatnot, but it makes sense. And it's even got, what's his name, Yusef's shop, the guy who was just like all about Farah, his shop's been bought up and he's gone as well, so.
Mm-hmm. You know the old saying, when there's blood in the streets, bye. Yeah. So our flashback, it's like we take that little trip down memory lane, and she's training with her Uncle Omar, and they're talking about, you know, why they pray. And FYI, not just because it's in the Quran, then that's it, but it's to give thanks and seek guidance. That is the answer to it.
Yeah, and it kind of informs her character a bit later on with, well, you know, in the episode of Heroes Reborn where she first appears, like, she says that, you know, the reason why they pray is, well, one of the reasons that he says is because, you know, to seek the answers that they need, and so that kind of informs where she's going, because obviously at the time of the episode, her and Melina are like just in the...
They're doing their Moses journey.
Yeah, and so she's like, do I have to do this? Let's see if there's anywhere else I can go. Oh, I know, after praying, Canada! So, yeah.
Yeah, that's my answer to most things, too, so... Anyway, we cut back to present day, and Farah is like praying, and she's trying to find answers for what's going on around her. And so basically, the villain of this issue is this lady who lost her high-powered CEO husband during the 9/11 attacks, and she's kind of carrying on his legacy, as it were, and so she's trying to build up that empire.
Yeah.
And she wants to redevelop Astoria using tax credits. And I'm just like, okay. This is getting a little too real for me. This is way too adult situation, mortgages. And...
She looks like the tech conglomerate from Fringe, the one with the metal hand. Oh. I was just like looking at it now, and I was like, oh yeah. But like obviously in Heroes Reborn, the kind of big bad is like the environment. It's like an allegory to the environment, I guess. You know, with the like if we don't save our planet, it's, you know, stuff's going to happen and we won't be able to protect it. And this one kind of seems like, you know what, it's urbanization.
Gentrification!
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Which in New York, it has a long history of that. It always makes me chuckle when people touch on that. Especially comic books, because Marvel does it. Oh, hashtag Daredevil.
Yeah, it felt exactly like Daredevil. As I was reading it, I was like, this feels exactly like that kind of flashback Kingpin has, where he's thinking about his father and stuff like that. I don't know why. It's got nothing really to do with this issue, but still.
It's that evil plan of, you know, pushing the poor people out and to build your empire on the backs of, you know, people who can't really defend themselves. That's probably it.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Thanks for making me sound smart.
Anyway, so Farah figures it out, and she starts to investigate them. But, you know, Jamal just keeps butting his head in where it doesn't belong.
Yep, because he wants some creeper.
You blame him. But then he like takes her to a back alley, and I was like, I was like, oh, he's actually an Evo, and he can run really fast.
But yeah, it looks exactly how it looked in the graphic novel. Because, you know, there's only so many ways you can draw someone running really fast, but still, you know.
Then they, like, stake out the company. And then, like, this big, giant bald man that visited the prison when she broke out Linderman, he's, like, walking out of that building. And so, like, they try to fight him, but he's, like, way too big. Yeah. And he knocks out. And, like, Jamal's, like, something happened to him. I didn't quite understand. Like, he ends up on the trunk of his car or something.
Well, what I got from it was... So basically, they're staking out... Well, after they've made out, of course, because, you know...
There's nothing else to do on a stakeout when you're a guy and a girl.
Exactly.
Except for watch your target.
Mr. Vance is the guy's name, who's got a very... I don't know if it was, like, intentional, but, like... I think it's just because he's got a bald head and he's pretty big. I just instantly thought of Doyle. But yeah, it makes sense, because, like... I don't know what his power is. His power is either, like, super strength or, like, just impenetrable skin or something. But... what use is being invisible if you can punch someone and it just has no goddamn effect? So yeah, and then he's placed a bomb in like a house. Then Jamal goes and takes it out, throws it in the East River, or I say East River, I have no idea. He just throws it in a river.
You've been watching Law and Order way too long.
All the while, Mr. Vance is beating the crap out of Farah. She gets back up, and he's captured Jamal. And Jamal has the famous no shunt, and he just throws him in the car. And then...
And I was like, no wonder she has a thing for Carlo.
But it's like pretty much the same ending as like the last one. Like I'm sure the last one ends with like a big, essentially a crane shot and her shouting after someone or something like that.
So basically this comic sets up the final issue. Yeah. The questions that we're going to get answered is, who's the giant bald man? What is Mr. Haas up to? And is Farah going to be able to save her neighborhood for thugs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course. She's a hero. Yeah. Everything gets wrapped up in a neat little bow. But then again, it's Heroes Reborn, so not really.
Imagine if she dies. No, I'm joking.
Oh, that's kind of... Oh, butterfly.
Oh, they've got the picture. They've got a picture at the back of like the other alt cover, and I can see little Easter eggs in the background. There's a Primatech paper truck, and there's a Godsend symbol, and that shit.
Yeah. So, did you have a favorite panel, Ricky?
I don't know why. I just keep on like looking at this kiss, and I'm like, are they trying to intentionally go for the Godsend symbol here, or is this just like that's just how mouths kiss? Do you know what I'm saying? No,
of course it's the Don't be facetious, Ricky.
I like this picture of Phil. That's what she calls herself, Phil. Phil Haas or Haas. I don't know. And she's just like standing at the window, fists like about to clench, and she's just like, and for the last effing time, the name is Phil. And it's just basically her being badass. But yeah, how about you?
I think it's the flashback panel with her Uncle Omar. I just kind of like seeing baby Farah, as it were, I guess.
Innocent Farah.
Yes. Sweet summer child.
Getting smacked with a stick.
Reminds me of Arrow season 2 with Shadow trying to teach Oliver slap in the water.
Yeah.
So what would you give this issue?
It feels like Company Woman, like they're introduced Erica's like backstory, like right near the end. This is what it feels like with this. Like, you know, you're introducing the big bad like in the issue before you finish, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did Company Woman. You know, it's setting up enough. You got her finally getting like a sidekick, and even though, you know, his power is still kind of a little bit more better than hers, she's still just better overall because, you know, she's Farah. So yeah, how about you?
I'll give this one a B+.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I like the fights.
Yeah.
I like that, you know, she can handle herself.
I
like the intrigue. Like I said, I like that it felt like Daredevil.
Yeah.
The good part to Daredevil. And then the bad part with her kissing Jamal. Damn you, Karen. Kidding, mostly.
A headbutting of a spike would have been an interesting panel to put in here. So yeah. Do you want to talk quickly about the anatomy of the cover at the back?
Sure.
It's interesting to see like some of his initial designs for the covers. Like at the back, you've got like his first 4 initial designs. Some of them are just like a bit generic, but I'm glad they went with the one. No, actually, I like if you look at number 2 on the very right, I really like that one. The one with her with a gun. It looks very James Bondian.
Yeah, and they kind of used that one as a springboard for one of the covers too. So.
And then at the back they have the dual covers for the next episode, which is like all the good guys on one side, all the bad guys on one side, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, seeing as this has nothing really to do with that aspect. But yeah, which cover do you reckon you're going to get? Whichever one's out of the comic book store.
The standard one, basically. So it looks like it's time for some shameless plug.
You can check out any of our social media from Facebook, Tumblr, Clamour, or Twitter. Just search the word Primatech Files.
And we are available on all your favorite podcatcher services, such as iTunes, Lisbon.com, SoundCloud, and we are now even available in the Google Music podcast section. Just look for Primatech Files. So please rate, review, and subscribe. And remember, download the episode because streaming doesn't count.
You can follow me on Twitter at RickyJDiaz. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you're American. And you can also find my writings at tvbinges.com.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire, live tweeting almost any DC/Vertigo show. If you're on Tumblr, it's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com, or check out my website, lilithhellfire.com.
You might want to check out our Twitter every Saturday, because we may be doing live tweets. Just check Primatech Files on Twitter, and if you want to send any feedback during that time about the shows that we've covered before, or the shows that we're covering at present, just email us, primatechfiles@gmail.com.
And that brings us to the wrap-up. We hope you found this episode entertaining and informative.
Keep the rebellion alive.